Boards games, board games, we might be talking about board games, but I'm not gonna shout. Here I am with Jessica Metheringham, and we'll talk about the forthcoming season and how you might sell games at Christmas time. How Jessica might sell hers, or how I might sell mine, and how we can better make features for all of our customers. Hooray! Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope you are generally well. It is 10 a.m. UK time, which means it's time for Bessie Beats and Boards Game Bladder, episode 810. How can we better serve Christmas customers? Featuring Jessica Metheringham.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am good. Yeah, I have a cup of tea. It is nice and sunny. Not quite feeling Christmassy yet, but I'm thinking, we'll talk about Christmassy things. It's good. Get me in the mood. I have done no shopping at all. I haven't even thought about it because right now this is the beginning of November. We've only just had bonfire night. It's like, how can we move on to Christmas?
I'm just wondering, when is Thanksgiving in the USA? I'm just actually looking it up.
It's the third Thursday.
Oh,
I
24th
think.
of November.
Mm-hmm.
So in the UK, we've got bonfire night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, okay, it's a big deal. I mean, not everyone goes out for it. It's not as big as Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But once the 5th of November has gone, for those who don't live here, that's basically it until Christmas, right? I mean, sure, there's people of other denominations, and there are people who don't celebrate Christmas for religious reasons. They might celebrate Hanukkah, they might celebrate something totally different.
Diwali, for example, that's relatively big round here. But those things are also, they're often around the same time anyway. They often fall in the same part of the year.
For Zoroastrians, the really big thing is Eid al-Nowruz, which is New Year, which is on the 21st of March.
Oh, excellent. Not the same time of the year at all, then.
No, it's basically at the start of spring. This is when we celebrate the New Year. It's like a very appropriate time to have a New Year's party. Because,
absolutely.
Spring's coming and let's take a big week off. It's kind of somewhere in between UK New Year, where you only get like one day off, and Chinese New Year, where you get a month off. In Iranian New Year, people get like a week off, and then they actually visit lots of people's houses. It's almost like first footing the Scottish tradition.
I was gonna say, what do you mean you only get a day off? You're from Scotland, you get 2 days off there.
It's like the order of magnitude is what I'm getting at. Like, it's basically days, weeks, months is kind of what I'm going for. But yeah. I mean, it also depends whether you work in the service industry, because if you work in the service industry, they might expect a supermarket to be open on the 2nd of January. And so I have had to work on 2nd of January in Scotland.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I'm just thinking, so back when I was a teenager, I worked in hotels a lot, and I remember doing, serving dinner and things. Christmas Day, I never worked, but I did do Christmas Eve, I did New Year's Day, I did New Year's Eve, and it's just, someone does them. The pay was good, though, which was fine. I liked the increased pay.
I mean, one of my parents, true story, was a medical professional. And so, I think the majority of Christmases, I mean, more than half of them, they got to be at home. But a good chunk, like, this is just going off my memory, but I would say 40% of them, they were not at home. And it was like, okay, they will be back, but we'll still have a good time together. We know that we still love each other. And that's kind of the important thing. And even though my parents aren't first generation UK people, they immigrated here. And they've been now in the UK longer than they were ever in any other country. But we embrace Christmas, not so much the you must give stuff to other people, but more the, hey, we're going to gather around, we're going to be together as a family, and we're going to have a big meal because we like food. One thing I can say about our family is we like food. And if there's an excuse for a big meal, we will take that excuse.
Absolutely. That, I think, is what quite a lot of people are talking about. Christmas in the UK, we get 2 days, we get 2 days off. So, this year Christmas falls on a weekend. So we get the Monday and Tuesday off. Christmas Day is a Saturday this weekend, is it? Or is it a Sunday? Anyway,
we'll have a quick check.
Basically we get the Monday and Tuesday off, despite the fact that that's
Sunday.
Not actually...
So Christmas Eve is Saturday, Christmas Eve is Sunday, but then again, you're assuming that people work Mondays to Fridays. I mean, frankly, I've never had a job where I worked Mondays to Fridays. At most jobs I had, I had to work most weekends because, that's when retail is busy. That's when people want you to cut up dead animals.
There'll be an awful lot of that at Christmas. But yeah, retail is going to be, really busy. But it's those couple of bank holidays. The trains don't run, for example. So trains won't be running on the Monday or probably on the Tuesday either. But yeah, so the country basically shuts down and goes to the pub. So it's great for everybody apart from those who work in pubs and have to, drive the taxis and everything.
Yeah, that's basically it. And if you work in an office, then you will have time off. But if you work in the service industry, it's more likely you won't have
Not
the time
so
off.
much.
Like if you're a medical professional, I actually spoke to someone who was a police person. I think it was last year last year I was wanting to go up to Scotland for Christmas. I was a bit unwell. I had COVID actually. But just before New Year, I was like, okay, I'm finally well enough to get outside of the flats. I've tested negative. And so I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go and see the fireworks. But apparently we weren't allowed up the hill, which normally they kind of make a special exception for. And so, there were police people, and so I just kind of chatted to them. I was, even though I'm not allowed up the hill, being like here halfway up the hill is probably as good a view as I'm going to get of the, because I could sort of, I could see above the river. So, any fireworks that went up at the Thames, I could see it. I had a clear view, and they were fine. And then I was chatting to the people who were keeping us out of where we were not meant to go. And, that they were doing their job. I wasn't about to rush them and try to run up. I mean, some people did actually do that.
I got to get up Parliament Hill. Escape.
But, yeah, some people did that. I wasn't one of them. But, I was chatting to this police person, and they were like, oh, yeah, I've never had a New Year's Eve off. I was like, that feels quite sad. Like, for me, New Year's Eve is a very special moment. And they were like, well, I've got other time. Well, they didn't say it that way, but I hope they've got other times.
I hope so.
Yeah. Anyway, what we're talking about isn't just what Christmas means to us as people. It's also about in the context of being a publisher. In the context of being a publisher, you're going to make a special game, a penguin-themed Christmas card game. Although, because it's penguin-themed, there's nothing on it, I believe, that says Merry Christmas, so you could use it
Well, I'm considering that. That is one of the considerations I have to make. Do I want to put something at the front that says Merry Christmas? Because some people really like that on Christmas cards, whereas other people prefer something that doesn't say it. And that's, so that's a judgment I have to think about.
I mean, because you're using print on demand, can't you do both?
So I'm using a Kickstarter, and I am going to send it off to get printed, possibly by instant print, though there are various other companies available. So it will end up slightly cheaper to have one which doesn't, to have one which to have just one version rather than two versions. But I could easily do two versions. the complication then actually comes with the fact that you've got 2 different boxes full of 2 versions, and then someone will say, oh, I want 3 of those and 2 of those, and then the Kickstarter just gets more complicated.
I mean, I would almost do it, either you get equal numbers of both, or you get all of one, or you get all of the other. There's no other thing, because at least that way you're not complicating it too much, because I can totally see how it could be a little bit of a challenge to work out, like, what's the print runs I'm going to do? How many of each am I going to do? But I mean, I would say if you, otherwise I'm honestly not sure. The question is, are more people going to buy it because it says Merry Christmas? Because if some people really like that and some people really like it not saying that, then it feels like offering both will result in more customers. And fundamentally, what we're talking about today isn't just how to sell stuff, but also how to better serve the customers.
Yeah, so there's definitely something I have to say about that. Do you want to say it now? Do you want to wait till later? How do you want to structure this talk, Bez?
Well, let's move back for a moment, and because you've asked me, let's go to recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. Have you been up to anything that you would like to talk about, Jess?
Oh, so I have not played very many games recently, mainly because our games are downstairs. So we have so we moved into a house last year which actually has which is actually 2 separate flats, and the games normally live downstairs, but we've got some Ukrainian guests living downstairs, which is absolutely lovely. But they currently have all our games, and I can go and get one, but I have to actually knock on the door, and that's a bit of a disincentive to just nip down there and get one. But actually we need to play some games with them because they are lovely. But recent highlights, so apart from our lovely Ukrainian guests moving in, we also got some stick insects the other day. Very exciting. Not game related either, but stick insects are something which I haven't had before. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. They're really for the kids, but
Hello, Xate. Hello. Yeah, stick insects are quite cute. They're kind of like, they've got the fascination of insects, but
they're slightly weird looking, aren't they?
They are kind of cuter. I mean, they're not like cockroaches, which everyone is like, oh.
Which are not nice. No, cockroaches do not look nice. There's definitely a visceral when you see a cockroach. I've been in a few situations where I've seen one and just thought, that really triggers something inside me. Oh, am I spiking a lot? Oh no.
Yeah, there is a bit of a crackliness, but in the past, the way to fix it has been by going out and then coming back in.
Yeah, we could try doing that. This is on the iPad, you see, so I don't know whether it's just inherent in that. But I could try that if you like. Should I try that now? I'll leave.
Yeah,
and then I'll
let's
come back
try that out, and I'll talk about what I've been
in a minute.
playing. So, yesterday I did a lot of writing for a game about meaningful conversations, and that was a lovely thing to try. That was a lovely thing to play. And then I went and cycled over to see McCall, and also Chris was there as a random surprise. So we played this. So people might recognize these tiles as Cora Quest tiles. This is not Cora Quest. Hello, Jess.
Hello, it's not Cora Quest. What is it?
So you might recognize these as Cora Quest tiles, but
you're prototyping.
Yes, exactly. I'm using just the tiles and the people, the standees. And so you see there's all these tiles. This is how you determine what you get to do. So if you play one of those big tiles with 3 footsteps on it, you get to move 3 spaces. If you play a sword all adjacent, that means you hit all adjacent people, or you might, and hopefully they're self-explanatory. The money tile gives you more money to buy more future things. And I'm really excited by this. This is probably this could be my new favorite game. And like, I say that as someone who does love a lot of their own games because I do make games that I kind of enjoy, but also I there's yeah, I don't want to say too much about it. I'm just super excited, and hopefully by January it'll all be done. There's a bit of dexterity in there. There's a good amount of strategy. There's a good amount of variable paths. And by the end, there's going to be a teeny bit of asymmetry, probably, although I'm not sure about that. Definitely, it'll push you along. And a bit of randomness. It'll be a chaotic thing. It's a little bit politics. It's basically a combat game. A bunch of people smacking each other, and you get a point for each damage you deal. Plus, I think I'm going to do maybe 1 point for every free health that you still have remaining, plus a bonus 2 points, like if you're even still alive. So if you've even got 1 health remaining, you get 2 bonus points for just being alive. But the person who's dead doesn't, you still might win if you manage to do a lot of damage.
Cool.
Any thoughts on that, or not really?
So I like the idea. This is the sort of thing where I think this is the sort of thing where it's got to be balanced quite carefully.
Yes.
But that starting stage where you're just going, oh, how is this going to work? And what if you do this? What if you do that? Yeah, that's really fun, isn't it?
Currently, you're getting new sorts of action tiles from a market. So you spend gold and then you buy new action tiles from that market. But I'm thinking that once I've made sure that they're balanced, like, the nice thing about the market is I can see if all of them are viable. And currently, the one that is, there's definitely one that's more powerful than one other one. Like, there's a teleport, which is overpowered. And I'm going to add in a secondary resource, as well as one resource to buy new action tiles, another resource like magic, and then the magic allows you to teleport and do magic fireballs and create blocks and do things like that. And so, but once it's actually finished, I think it will just be pulling when you grab new things. Okay, you get maybe 3 new things from a bag or 5 new things, and you get to choose one of them. Because I don't know, it feels like that might lean more into the excitement and chaos of the game.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. Oh, I like the idea.
And also, there was a game about quickly grabbing cards and judging them against free descriptions. So, out of these, which would you say, between the steam engines and stegosauruses, which would you say you would like to take to space? It's a great topic for a game and is noisy. Well, let me get rid of that banner.
Well, I mean, so I think they're both pretty noisy. I don't know. Steam engines are probably noisier than stegosauruses, to be honest. Stegosauruses, I think of them as being sort of slightly more docile. Although, maybe not. They've got all those spikes. What's a great topic for a game? They're probably about equal. Which would you like to take to space? I would not like to take the Stegosaurus to space. I mean, supposing you're going to space, then
because it's likely to attack you? Is that your concern?
Well, you're in a small enclosed rocket. There's only so much food. It's more that the steam engine doesn't need, the steam engine doesn't need to breathe and, to be fed plants.
Yes. Stegosaurus might need a lot of sustenance.
Yeah, lots of care and attention for that Stegosaurus. But dinosaurs on trains, now that would be great. Dinosaurs on trains.
But if you had to
in
choose
space.
one of them, which one would you choose? And that's basically the whole game. So
steam engine.
Yeah. And then the other one is, which one do you think is more colourful, seasonal, and exciting? Is it peppers or is it orchids? There's a little bit of playing to the judge, and there's a little bit of, okay, what do you think is more colourful and seasonal and exciting? Say it says, I'll take a dino. It doesn't say it can't be a plushie.
I mean, that is a good point, yeah. But then it would be particularly non-noisy. Yeah. Now, that's a difficult one, around peppers and orchids, So I think So I think that actually peppers probably can be more colourful than orchids. I know that orchids
Really?
can be lots of different colours, but if it's, one particular orchid, they tend to be like,
Hmm.
one colour.
I guess I
Peppers,
get what you're saying, but
yeah.
like peppers are basically ranging from red, orange, yellow,
Yellow,
green,
green, yeah.
whereas
Orchids
orchids
can be,
can have those colors. I agree that hmm,
yeah.
that's like one particular orchid can it in itself
Mm.
have a variety, and also orchids can go into the blues and purples.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, I think that as a class, then orchids are more colourful, aren't they? But as an individual thing, I'm not sure. Anyway, seasonal? I don't know. Again, that might be peppers, because peppers are a fruit which only grow in a particular season,
Mm,
whereas
mm, mm.
orchids are a tropical plant, and I don't think they have, they grow around the equator naturally, and I think they don't
I
have
mean,
the
we are very
seasons.
spoilt by our
Mm,
modern supermarket system, but
exactly.
so much of these things are absolutely seasonal.
Yeah. Exciting. That's really
Peppers can be
difficult.
spicy. That's kind of exciting, right?
Yeah. So I would personally be far more excited to get some peppers than some orchids, because if I got orchids, I'd be like, what do I do with these things? I don't know how to care for an orchid. I don't want an orchid. I don't have any space for an orchid. Whereas a pepper, it's like, okay, that's dinner. That is exciting. That's very exciting.
So you would choose the peppers.
I would personally choose the peppers, but that might just be because I like peppers and I think of orchids as being really high maintenance, and that does not appeal.
That's totally fair. I mean, for the record, Chris chose the orchids because they felt like they were roughly equally
Mm,
colourful and seasonal. And Chris was personally excited by the orchids because said, you know
that's
what,
it.
peppers are exciting if I've grown my own. And
Mhm.
but I've already grown my own peppers and are right over there. And we were in their flats and they had some peppers literally on a little
Yeah.
bush. And he said, but orchids, I've never got my orchids to bloom. So if I had orchids blooming, I would be even more excited. And I was playing to the
There you
judge
go.
again because Chris is
Mm,
all about having their plants. But yes,
there we
that
go.
was what I got up to yesterday. That was my recent highlights. Also, this morning had a nice energizing cycle back. And yeah, so what would you say, Jess? Do you have a brilliant thing? Brilliant thing? What's a little thing which is brilliant? You said you like
Ooh.
peppers. Would you say peppers are a brilliant thing?
I think peppers are a brilliant thing. We've actually got some pepper plants downstairs, sitting
Oh,
outside the front door, which have not grown any peppers yet. And I'm hoping that if I bring them in and nurture them over the winter, then next year they might actually grow some peppers. But yeah, I love peppers. Peppers are great.
and also those tiny peppers. I mean, when I
Mm,
look at this picture, like the one on the right, okay, that's a bell pepper. The one on the
yeah.
left, like what's going on
But
with that?
those
Is that
little.
going to be a sweet pepper? Is that going to be a spicy pepper? You don't quite know. But either way,
Ooh.
it's going to be delicious.
It's going to be nice. Yeah.
Mm. I think that you can have bad pepper, like an old pepper, but for the most part, they're crispy. You can
Mm,
have them like raw. You can cook them in a stew and like season
they're
the entire
nice.
dish, the flavor seeping out.
Mm.
Have them in a salad. Sometimes with the tiny ones, just munch them on their own as a wee snack. They are brilliant.
They're also very good for small children. Small children like peppers, because small children tend to like party food, and peppers are very, very simple. You cut up slices, and then they're just there, and they can munch on them.
I just want the
Snack,
tiny
yeah,
peppers to have myself and to
yeah.
then eat around the white bits.
There we
It's like a little bit of a game, a little bit of dexterity with my teeth as I kind of finish off the pepper. That's what I enjoy. So, yes,
Excellent.
as always, we'll get to the main topic. And now, please feel free to comment, ask questions, fun like follow. And so, yes, what were you about to say when you were like,
Ooh,
should we say it right now?
Ah, yes, right, excellent. So we were talking about when you've got something that is specifically Christmas themed. Should it be branded with Christmas? So I'm talking about Christmas cards. So the question is, should they say Merry Christmas on them? Should they say Happy Christmas on them, etc.? And that's quite difficult because you've got a couple of different things going
Or
on there.
season's greetings, or
Or
maybe
season's
just leave
greeting,
it
yeah.
blank, or...
So last year I did Christmas cards as well, and I had 5 different types of Christmas cards, which I sold in a pack of 5. And one of them was just a plain one, which didn't have any message on. Then I had one which said Merry Christmas, one which said Happy Christmas, one which said Season's Greetings, one which said Bar Humbug. So we've got 4 different Christmas messages. Now, there were most people bought them as a pack of 5, so one of each. Did make more of the plain ones because those were not explicitly Christmassy, and I have sold a few more of those. But it was interesting that even though the plain ones were not explicitly Christmassy, they did feel a bit Christmassy. So that's one where it's a
because
blue
of the
card of
picture.
stars. Yeah, because of the picture, so it was blue and of stars, and maybe it was just that I knew that they were originally Christmas cards, but they did feel they felt very wintry. So I think a lot of people sort of associated
But
that
then that's
wintry with
something,
Christmas.
again, that it's more appropriate to use if you want to send a card for any other reason. Maybe you want to,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you're American and you celebrate Thanksgiving. I don't think they have cards for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. But
I don't think so, but I wouldn't put it past somebody to try.
like, I don't think Jews have cards for Hanukkah. I don't know, do they?
I'm not sure. I mean, the
Well,
thing is that there are so many different occasions when one could do a specific thing. Whether it's giving a little gift or giving a card or
apparently
whatever.
there
So
are Hanukkah cards. I think I'm
excellent.
assuming this is a
Yay.
reply to Jews do give each other cards for Hanukkah.
Lovely.
And is it appropriate for non-Jews to? Yeah, okay, you can buy it in Hallmark,
Hallmark
but
sells.
that's not the answer. Just because Hallmark sells it doesn't mean that it's actually being used. I mean, like, you have you have so many cards in Hallmark. I agree they sell cards for everything, but that's not a fair way to say. Therefore, people actually use it. They could sell cards for, hey, congratulations on your new dishwasher.
Yeah. So, I mean, which year they probably would, and perhaps we should. If you sell it, we will buy. Yes. So my children's school is very diverse, and I'm just thinking whether we get. So we do get a few Christmas cards from other children, about Christmas time. We don't get any other cards from other faiths. We do have. There's always at least a couple of children who give out sweets during various other festivals, particularly the Muslim children at the end of Eid. They quite often will basically have a little box of sweets at the end of the day, and I mean,
and then they go around and say, hey, take one of
yeah,
these.
absolutely. Well, they'll stand outside the classroom door at the end of the day. Now, last time, a lot of the Muslim children had a day off. I think it was around last May, last year when the biggest festival for Eid was. Although that could be me misremembering the date completely, but there were quite a few children who had the day off, and then the next day, brought in sweets. But I haven't seen cards being passed out. Just little sweets. So.
And as long as, I mean, I was going to say, I kind of prefer, depending on the sweets, I kind of prefer the idea of a sweet to a card. I mean,
Oh yeah.
It depends on the sweet. Like, if it was a homemade sweet, 100%. If it was a card, yeah, I'd rather have a homemade sweet than a homemade card. That's what I'm going to stick with.
They vary quite a bit, I think.
Yoda.
Hello. So anyway, I mean, So this is a good conversation about, the audience. What so who is your audience for Christmas games? What do they actually want? With Christmas cards, the audience is, people who have a lot of them to give out, to people within an institution. So teachers and school children and people who want to give one to everybody they work with. There's still there's a certain group of people who are very keen on basically going and handing one out to everybody, and teachers are a big group of that. But also, there's a, my experience has been that that it tends to be, say, people who are slightly older than me rather than people who are younger than me, who will send a lot of cards, and people will sometimes send,
people who are younger. I think there's people who are older tend to be more religious, I find, and maybe more also stick with paper stuff. I mean, I found that
more traditional.
The number of paper cards I've had over the years have definitely declined. And I think that's just because of people saying, well, let's just appreciate, sometimes a text or whatever feels like enough. But also, the gifts that I generally ask for are consumable things. Like, yeah, Chris gave me a bottle of English meads, which is whatever. Or, yeah. Conversely, Xate says, I got more cards in the last 2 years than in the previous 10.
That is definitely interesting. I mean,
Is that just because of, but that's thanks to COVID and the Loserpalooza card exchanges. So that's thanks to a specific event that people are doing.
Yeah.
So
no, I can see how that might work.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But
so anyway,
there's
some
it's
thinking
interesting
about
because
your audience.
you're targeting. It does depend on what's your audience. Your audience isn't just people who are shopping for Christmas. Your audience is people who want to give Christmas cards and maybe want to give something that's a little bit more interactive, something that's a little bit different to a normal Christmas card. Whereas, when I'm looking at things, I'm thinking, hey, wait a minute. There are people who are just buying gifts or Christmas. And a lot of my games are good stocking stuffers. And so that's why I wrote a couple of questions of, like, should I be doing some sorts of deal? Should I say, hey, a reminder, this is the last date that you'll get it in time for Christmas. And if you buy it from now until that date, I will give you 10% off or something. I don't know.
That's a really good question because, that taps into a couple of things about when people are looking for Christmas things. Because clearly there are lots of different types of people, looking for Christmas gifts. But people often fall into, one of two extremes. You've got some people who don't want to buy anything Christmassy until it's December. They're like, I am not going to engage in anything Christmassy until December. And last year, when I had a Kickstarter for Christmas cards, my Kickstarter, ran at the end of November. Last year, I had a lot of people, mainly on Twitter and Facebook, who were saying, stop talking about Christmas. No, we don't want you to talk about Christmas. It's not the 1st of December, therefore you're not allowed to talk about Christmas. And it was just really slightly bizarre that there were people who felt that strongly about it. Then you get the people who have done all of their Christmas shopping by the 1st of December, basically who are like, right, November and, maybe October, that's the time to do Christmas shopping. So you've got the people who are quite organized versus the people who are basically refusing to have that organization.
To, Christmas stuff being available in shops and Christmas music happening on the radio and be like, yeah, to heck with this. I just cannot deal with this for so long. I mean, it should be a celebration, but any celebration, if you extend it, at a certain point, it just gets tiring and fatiguing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also but that is a problem that as a seller of something Christmassy, that's a problem for the sellers because, you want people to be able to buy your thing. Now, if it's Christmas cards, the last Christmas posting date for posting out things, well, they'll get there before Christmas, is normally about the 18th of December.
And we're talking UK to UK.
UK to UK. Now, let's imagine that you're selling something which somebody else needs to send. Because Christmas cards, you don't give Christmas. You tend not to give somebody a Christmas card on Christmas Day. You tend to post it in the post to them, beforehand.
Yes.
Which means that the person needs to send it out well before the 18th, and in fact, most people who send out Christmas cards, they're not sending them out, they're not sending them out on the last posting day. They're sending them out like, at least a week in advance. But then they need to have the time to write them or whatever, which means that suddenly you're
Basically,
selling
we need to send them out on the 1st.
We need to send them out on the 1st, which means we need to sell them in November. Which is a real problem for the people who don't want anything Christmassy to be advertised before the 1st of December. Because they're essentially, because that those two things can't exist at the same time.
I wonder if there's a service, like if it would be a viable service to say, hey, for a fee of I don't know, £5, I will colour in one of the things and write a message of your choice.
I'll
and
do
just
your Christmas cards for you.
Post it straight to this person. So
I mean, that would be quite interesting.
Because, like, if I said, hey, I will, but you can't sign it as the other person, can you? That would be really weird. That's the only thing.
Wait, you'd have to print off a message and stick it inside or something.
Are you happy for the world to know one of your parents' names, for example, or someone that you send Christmas cards? Hypothetically, let's say it's or give me a hypothetical name.
So my mum's called Jill. So let's say we send it to Jill.
So let's say I say, hey, this is a lovely card, and then I guess I could put from Jess, because I still feel it would be from you if you had paid me to write it on your behalf, because I'm kind of acting as your Christmas card sender.
Yeah, but so would you write it in your own handwriting?
I would.
Would you have to have rather than print it out? I mean, something I can see would be saying, let's print it out, but then would it be printed directly onto the card, or would it be printed on a bit of paper and stuck in, or what?
I mean, I was imagining like that £5 is enough for me to cover my time to actually handwrite it. That's why, like, that's why he did that.
It sounds like an awful lot for that.
Yoda says, my former parents-in-law send her holiday cards after Christmas with only a Happy New Year message, even though they are Christian.
It's really interesting, the things that people like, because, so I personally really, really love, I really like the season's greetings, message. And that's the one that I tend to go for.
Chat. Sate wants to order a Christmas card for me, and also my mum would not be impressed. She'd say, my new friend Ben sent me a card this year. Why didn't you? What? Even if I wrote at the bottom, it's from, and then I wrote your real name that I'm not going to use on the internet.
Yeah, but your mum would recognise your handwriting. That would be the problem.
Like, as in your mum would recognise that it wasn't your handwriting. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. She'd go, oh, this doesnn't look like, so-and-so's writing.
So,
there is a little bit of a conundrum there.
Genuinely, do you think that is a service that, I'm actually curious, do you think anyone would want that service? Like, do you think someone would actually want buy a £20 bundle and you'll get, 4 games plus a card and like or it's let's within the UK, so £3 postage, £23 plus. Okay, let's say it's £28. Give them 4 games that you've selected from the Bezzy bargain bags, and then there's a card in there and like a little thing where it's like a quick message saying, "Hey, blah 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 blah. This is a Christmas present from blah 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 blah." And hopefully you will have fun with the games. And there's a little doodle. I don't know. Is that something that people would want?
Yes. I think that if it is a gift, so if it is primarily a gift which comes with something, saying it's from so and so, like the little, like when you get someone, like when you buy something from one of the, the big internet sites, and you can often get it gift wrapped and sent directly.
Oh yeah,
I think.
just to clarify, yeah, that's the point. That they get
Yeah.
the games, and it's just a way of not having for me to send it to you and then you to send it to them. It's just a way for me to and then I'm wondering, would I have to wrap it up properly like a Christmas card for it to be like a Christmas present?
Yeah, I
to be
think
more
that it would
exciting?
have to be, so I think that what there would be a market for, what there is a market for, is something which is completely done. So, you send it, maybe with a card. I mean, so the thing which is really the thing which I think is not something I would like at all would be the handwriting. So when you get something from Amazon, you get a little gift slip. So,
Okay.
So when Amazon gifts wrap something, then you get it wrapped up, or, quite often it comes in a bag these days. We get various things from various parents sent directly often. And so that comes in a bag. It's all wrapped up in this cloth bag, but it is, which then comes with a little tag where it's printed who it's from. That I think is useful, and I think people would want that to go to, like, they might say, okay, I'd like these 3 games to go to 3 different places. That's fine. What I don't think there's a service
I would have to
for.
obviously charge more for that. Like
Yeah,
obviously there's a
absolutely.
per person charge and a
Yeah,
per
yeah.
wrapping charge. I can't just be wrapping
Absolutely.
stuff up for free.
Yeah. What I don't think there'd be a market for would be sending out 20 or 30, Christmas cards or really small things. I think it has to be something reasonably substantial, and it might be that it's a £5 game, it might be it's a £10 game, but I think people would have to see they'd have to go, this is a substantial gift before they see the value in having somebody else do it for them.
Interesting. I'm enjoying pondering this. The truth is that, yeah, I am tempted to do it and say that you get a random free gift, which, I'm not going to say what the random free gift is, but, completely tangentially, I do have, a significant number of copies of Innerbind Junior that I'm not allowed to sell for contract. But then at the same time, I don't want to sell that to people who don't know what Yogi is, because then you end up with people saying, "Oh, this is a brilliant game in a Bind Junior. How do we buy this again?" And then they don't know that it's Yogi. And so that's why I kind of want to be also very careful about how I get rid of those. And I totally understand why some companies just burn their stuff, because it's sad to say, but it would be kind. But yeah, I'm likely to give it to people who I know that they know what it is. But yeah, there's
youth clubs.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be. Honestly, I've got ways of it's going to go to schools and make a sticker now called Yogi. Oh, that's actually a really simple thing. Like I could just make a sticker and it says, or like a little slip that says, "By the way," or
this is now called Yogi. Yeah.
Maybe even puts it actually on the box, and if it's a free gift, then they won't complain about me opening up the front and just putting a sticker on it. That could actually work. But yeah, I'm
Yes.
not sure if
Anyway.
I could get my stuff in order to do it in time for this Christmas. And next Christmas I won't be here, so I can't personally do this. But this could be an idea for you, Jess. What do you think? In like
Yeah.
bigger games, would you think that you would do this?
So last year, right. So I have sold some games which have gone to other people. You know, when I've done Kickstarters, I've had, I think, three copies of Disarm the Base. The person who was backing it on Kickstarter said, "Can you send it to so and so?" You know, and I did. And in one of those cases, it was for a wedding, and and so I wrapped it up very nicely, with a bit of ribbon, because it was something where they told me it was for a wedding. It was something where where they hadn't requested any gift wrapping. And as I say, I only had three of them who were being sent to other people. I think it was only three. So I just gift wrapped it for them. So I suppose actually I could do a proper thing of it. I think I have frozen. This is not a good thing. Or possibly it's actually somebody else's frozen. Interesting. I'm just going to have a quick look here in this chat and see if there are comments. It's Bez! It's not me! Haha, my show now. Right, okay. Now I have seen the comments. Let's think about this. Oh no, Bez is coming back to life. Last year, something else I did was that I had 2 copies of Disarm the Base. I had 2 copies of Disarm the Base, which I gave away on Facebook. Now, really, we wanted people to sign up to the library Labyrinth mailing list, which of course they did. But we promoted this by giving away a couple of copies of Disarm the Base, and those were gift wrapped with Christmassy paper, and and that was specifically said that was a good idea. So it's definitely a thing. It can be a thing. Hey Bez, are you back again?
No, it's me.
Oh no, you're definitely not. You're completely out of sync, and you might have completely vanished. Yes, yes, interesting. So my show now, hey? Hey! Christmassy things. So I think there'd probably also be a problem with people, supposing you were gift wrapping things. Gift wrapping for a birthday or something would probably be much easier than gift wrapping for a date when a lot of people.
Hello? Can you hear me? Testing. Can you hear me now? Jess, you are mute apparently. Yeah, sorry about this. Apparently, Jess is mute and people can hear me, and Jess is trying hard but no effect. Jess, maybe you could go out and come back. Jess, I love you. Oh, Jess is muted. Yes. But so I think the key thing that I wanted to ask today is, should we do Christmas specific stuff? Should I run a sale? What should I do? And when I say the word should, it's kind of not just what works well for you, but also what's within my energy levels. What am I able to do, if you know what I mean? Like, what would I reasonably be able to do. Jess, add to stream. Does this work?
I'm here again. Penguins begin. Penguins salute. Okay, hello. Anyway, yes. Where did we get to?
Sorry about all that kerfuffle. So, yes, it has been almost an hour, but the key questions are, should we make games specifically for Christmas? And I think that for you, it's worked out very well. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it has. For the for the size of the projects I'm doing, this is not a big, money spinner. But the thing is that cards cost so little once you get above about 200 or so printed. They really don't cost very much at all. So.
And it feels like a greeting cards game is a lot easier to make in those quantities than a playing cards game, where a playing cards game, it is kind of, okay, something that's going to be a little bit more expensive. It's something that you'll get and then you'll play over and over, whereas a greeting cards game, it's like, well, I didn't expect to play it at all. So even that I get to play it once, it's a bonus.
Absolutely. So this is basically going to a different sort of market. It's a different sort of thing. But it's definitely worth doing a small project like this, which is specifically Christmas geared.
And yeah, I mean, it's unlikely. I mean, sure, I could stress myself out and try to make something this year, but it's unlikely that I'll make something for this year. And if someone's thinking, oh, I'd really like to do that, but you know what? In the country where I live, Christmas isn't really a big thing. Maybe I live in Thailand, which will be my situation in a year's time. Maybe someone else is looking at it and thinking, well, you know what? I live in Saudi Arabia, or maybe I live in Malaysia or whatever, and I've got great ideas for a Christmas thing, but there's not really the demand here for Christmas cards.
Yeah.
Do you think that would you be willing to work with other people? Have you considered that? And be
Absolutely.
kind of acting as a very small, admittedly, publisher and distributor of Christmas cards for other people's ideas?
Yeah, very happy to look at other ideas for greetings cards. So I'd quite like to have a look at, sort of breaking into a market as such, because I'm slowly, gathering a set of different, cards I can use. And I think that actually I probably want to go and talk to a card retailer at some point to say, oh, would you like these cards? Because I think there is something in there. So yes, very happy to look at other people's ideas too.
I mean, probably not Hallmark because they, I believe, make all their own things.
They have all their own things, but there are UK. I mean, firstly, there are quite a lot of sort of non-chain UK stores. There are a lot of souvenir shops, etc. But then there are bigger chains like like Paper Chase or people like Waterstones, for example.
I mean, could you maybe get into WH Smith? I mean,
that would be fabulous. Library Labyrinth has taken a lot of my marketing space, but if I could do something like that, that would be absolutely fabulous.
And the other question, which we never really had an answer to, was, should we be doing sales? Do you think I should be doing a sale? Do you think I should? And when I say should, it's kind of, both. Would people want this, and would it excite people, and would it, frankly, I mean, the truth is, would it be financially successful for me? Because sure, if I sell a few more copies by cutting down 10%, yeah, absolutely, that's a success. That's a thing I can do. I do have enough margin that I can do an occasional sale. But A, I don't want to normalize the price as this is the price, all year round, and annoy potentially retailers. And secondly, if I'm doing a sale, I want it to actually result in hopefully increased sales.
So I would suggest that rather than cutting the price, that you say, buy four, get a fifth three, that sort of thing. Because you're selling small games, which, as you say, are really good for stocking fillers, then I think you should be looking at, okay, buy two, get the third half price, that sort of thing. So bulk discounts would be really useful. Firstly, because a lot of people will have, lots of people, of course, have friends and relatives who they want to buy a small Secret Santa type gift for. So it might be secret, it might not, stocking filler type things. And people rarely, I think, this is just me guessing, but I think that people probably rarely go out and buy just one stocking filler gift. There are people who just have one stocking to fill, but quite often they're thinking, okay, I'll buy I'll buy, three things for so and so, three for so and so, and then I've got to take something round to so and so when we go on Christmas Eve, and what about our cousins, or various people who you may well sell more games by offering bulk discounts, of 3, 4, or 5 games.
Or it could be, again, I'm concerned about, the marketing for Yogi, but if I were to say, oh, if you buy 3 games, you get a free copy of this thing, which is no longer available for sale, and that might be a way to entice more people to buy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Those sort of things I think would work really well. Because I suspect that at Christmas, people will be looking to buy more than one thing anyway.
Yeah, maybe like for every 3 that you buy, you get a copy of In a Bind Junior. I don't know.
Yeah, especially because you've got so many different options. For your last Kickstarter, when you had 4 different games there, did you get many people who were just buying one? Did you get most people buying 2 or 3 of different
So my
things?
laptop kind of died, so I can't double check, but the majority were the people who bought the 4. So I had it as
Right.
one will cost you 9. I think I put it at £9. Every second game is £8, and if you buy all 4, then you get them all for £29.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that meant that a lot of people are like, well, that's £9, that's £29, that's a much better deal. Yeah, I'll go for that, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Because, yes, I gave people a little bit of a discount on the shipping potentially, but shipping 4 is not that much more expensive than shipping 1 for the exact size and weight that those will be at. I mean, if it was, a different size and weight like this, it would be a totally different story, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, also it makes my life easier rather than having to do, okay, this person wants 1 plus 1 of them. Instead, I've just got to go, okay, this is another pack of 4, this is another pack of 4, and away they go. And that's going to make the packing process a little bit easier. So, yeah, I was interested to see that, yeah, all 4 of the games were things that I hadn't put on Kickstarter before. And yeah, people responded well to that. People were like, yeah, we want to check these things out. We trust you with the previous games. And some people were like, you know what? I've got a copy of this game anyway. I bought it at a convention, but it's good enough that I'm happy to give it away as a present, which is absolutely what I'd want. So, yeah.
So I think that is, that's a really good indication. So I think that having something very similar to that, doing a sort of a push of saying, hey, you missed the Kickstarter, but get the same deal on my website as a special Christmas deal or something. That might work.
So that Kickstarter probably can't come out, well, almost certainly can't come out in time for Christmas, but I do have some actual Busy bargain bags first edition, and whilst for the first edition things, I like to see more people playing them in person, why not put it up on my website and say, yeah, it's 50 copies. If you want one of them, it's limited to this number, but have at it. And between now and 5th of December, I will be having at least 3 new games. And so if people want... So there will be at least 3 new things for people who've currently got all my stuff. Well, there's 2 new things coming to me next week, which I'm quite excited about. And then there's one thing that I'm in theory meant to finish off. But before I talk about what I'm up to, and finishing off with the question of the day, do you think there's anything left for you to say about Christmas cards and being good for Christmas customers?
No, I think we've covered most of it, that it's about making sure that you've got the right, you've got the things, selling at the right time, different audiences going for different things, but also, just, making sure that they're getting them at the right time. And that tension between people wanting to get it early versus people not wanting, versus, quite a lot of other people not wanting to see too much advertising about Christmas before the beginning of December. That's a really difficult one. That's really tough to manage. And I think that's just a tension which is inherent in all Christmas sales.
And let's use that as the question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. So my question to everyone else is, and including Jess, and I'm going to answer this myself, is when do you do your Christmas shopping? Do you do Christmas shopping? Do you buy things with the intention of giving away presents or cards to other people? What sorts of things do you buy? I'm curious. And when do you do your Christmas shopping? When do you start doing it? When do you finish doing your Christmas shopping by? I don't really do Christmas shopping myself. I tend to buy things sometimes for individuals, for maybe I guess when I think of it, like that, okay, I got that at Spiel, and that will be a nice present for Layla, and that because Layla's birthday is just about the same time. But how about you, Jess? Do you do Christmas shopping when?
I do Christmas shopping. It's very organised. It's very, yes. So there is a Christmas list. There are suggestions. There's very much a make sure you get something for everyone. There's obviously Christmas budgeting that goes on and being like, let's make sure that we're trying to, spread out the money so we can buy something for everyone. When do I do it? So I am feeling a little bit uncomfortable that I haven't started any yet. I would feel very uncomfortable for it to get to, say, the 10th of December and not be mainly done.
Okay.
So I mainly do my Christmas shopping during November, basically.
I'm a very last minute person. I mean, I am uncomfortable that I have. This is an example of a deadline. I am uncomfortable that I haven't finished, all the art and stuff for the next game to have the graphic design done. And, the deadline for the writing is today. And the deadline for the art was kind of Monday. And so I'm kind of now reaching into other people's deadlines. And so I'm not like being a good co-worker, is the truth. Because yes, sometimes I do give Rob less than the 2 weeks that they want. And sometimes I give,
Yep.
Yeah, like when Chris was actually coming over, like basically, if I hadn't done art for a game yet, I would, definitely start it by, 10 p.m. the previous night.
Did it help that you had someone like Chris sitting you down and saying, "Oi, do it"? Did
No,
Chris
they
do
didn't have
that?
to say it. It was just because they were coming over,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that was the day that they were coming over. And if there wasn't if they weren't able to do it that day, it would have to wait until the following week.
Right.
And so that very much helped because they were scheduled and hired to work like that specific day, if you know what I mean. And
That
so
definitely helps.
that, yeah, absolutely. So it meant that I would get up and, well, be like, okay, I'm going to have a late night. I should have done it before, but, it happens more than once. And so it probably reflects our, how can I put it? You're a bit more organized and you're better at doing things ahead of deadline, better than I am.
I am not necessarily more organized. What I do is I panic early. In every single circumstance, I panic early, which does mean that I get it done, but it's not.
You appear organized.
Yes, I appear very organized to the
It
outsider.
has the effect of basically being organized. I mean,
there's a lot of paddling going on underneath the surface.
You are a beautiful swan.
But yeah, it's very much a sort of like, okay, there's a deadline coming up. I've got to do it. What I'm particularly bad at, though, telling other people when I'm doing something. So I'll do my tasks, but I just
you forget
can't
to tell other people.
Yeah, I just can't seem to remember to, send that email to so-and-so that says, this is the date we've chosen. So I really have to force myself to do that. But deadlines
I think that's
are
one
not a
nice
problem.
thing about, having regular meetings and so I'm curious about this for everyone else watching. Like, what is your approach with Christmas shopping? Like, whether you're watching live or for those few people watching after the fact, I'm very curious, and I always reply to all respectful comments. So please let us know. Do you buy stuff for Christmas? And if your approach, like whether you do or don't, or whether you buy early or not, or last minute, I'm curious to know. Sates wants to give a shout out to me for buying them a present.
Yay!
And apparently it's almost empty. Which
was it a liquid present by any chance?
It was. And so
See,
that
I
means
remember that from what you were talking about with Essen.
Being enjoyed, so that's good. And over to you. What are you up to? You can share Botany if you want to. So what are you up to? Is there something you want to share? I promise that I care. Something you're looking forward to? Something that you need to do? Wednesday, I don't have anything lined up for this evening. I am definitely going to go out and see the ducks at some point. But what I'm going to do is do the writing that the deadline is like today, and then do the art and get the art posted. And basically, that's what I'm going to do. That is my day to day. And then if I manage to do all of that before, the evening, then I will, you know what, I might reward myself by, I'm excited about this game. And that I showed at the start, the kind of combat game, and I'll kind of imagine more effects, and I'll kind of imagine more spells that people can cast, so that I can bring in the new resource. So currently you've got health, which is the same as victory points almost. You've got experience, which you go around, you can get it from treasure chests or money. I don't know what to call it. It's experience / money. And then you use this to buy new action tiles. But I want some action tiles to be, okay, you can't always be teleporting everywhere. That's overpowered. You need to...
you need a balance.
You need some magic. So, it's Wizards. It's the easiest theme because, hey, what's going on here? How can you explain this? Well, it's magic. You don't need to worry about... Yeah, exactly. That's why magic is the easiest theme for anything.
Yeah.
So no, I might spend a bit of time doing that, or I might indeed, I might read a little bit of a book that I've got, and I'm excited to do all of that. So,
Yay.
That's pretty much me. What about you, Jess? What about everyone else?
penguins. So
And
I
would you like to
do
tell
the
us
video.
about this penguin game? Because
Yeah.
we've gone through this entire episode. So please tell us about this penguin game.
What am I doing with the penguin games? So I need to get the final bits of the Kickstarter ready, and I need to make a video. That is the top priority. So this is a game on a greetings card. They're going to be quite small greetings cards this time. So it's a real. So this is really being super concise with the rules, because the picture goes on the front, the rules go on the back. So you open it up, you've got the picture. This is going to be a racing penguins, although it's not really racing. Basically, you've got a circular track. You've got some fish on the track. You've got some waterfalls, which you can slide down, which are a bit like snakes. You've got some rocks you can climb up, which are a bit like ladders. But the crucial thing is that the track is circular, so it doesn't have a beginning or an end. Now, each player has 2 penguins.
And is the idea
counters.
that people have to supply their own little bits?
Well, in here, there's going to be a business card, which is inserted into the card, which will have some counters you can cut out on it. That's what I'm trying this time. I haven't done that before, but I'm going to have this business card where you can have, some little penguin counters, and they're just going to be, little bits of paper, obviously. So, you cut out your counters, you put them on there. There are 2 spaces where you put all your counters. So each player has 2 of the same color. You
and
find
how many
a
is it for?
For 2 to 4 players.
Okay.
You have 1 die, just the one, and you have to go and find
D6.
it yourself.
Okay.
Just a standard D6. You can obviously roll on your phone, quite easy. So you roll the die. You then get to choose what you do with the result. You can move one of your penguins, and it can be either one. It doesn't have to be a particular one. You've got 2 penguins. You can move either one. You can move either one in either direction. So basically, you've got 4 choices for where you can go.
Yeah.
You slide down the waterfalls. You climb up the rocks. You collect the fish on the way.
And what are you trying to do?
So you're trying to collect the fish, and the game ends when one person puts both of their penguins onto the same space. So when one person has reunited their 2 penguins, the game ends. The winner is the person with the most number of fish that they've collected. So you have to tally them up. There's a little scoreboard on the back of the card, and so you just get a pen and you just, tally up your fish that you collect. The winner of the game, the person with the most fish, might not be the person who finished the game, of course. So you might decide not to finish the game.
If you are playing to win, then presumably, you wouldn't end the game if you're not going to win.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the point.
But, I mean, people can make mistakes, or people might be not playing so seriously. People might be not checking before they finish it. They might be like, hey, I'll do that. You don't get any bonus points for reuniting them, do you?
You don't get any bonus points. So initially I thought that perhaps you should get bonus points, but that actually didn't work very well. Well, that actually meant that it was guaranteed whoever united the penguins won by a margin of like 2 normally.
I mean, couldn't you just make the bonus points smaller? What if you got
well, even if it was just with 1, even if it was just with 1 bonus point, you normally do that, because most people get 1 or 2 fish on their turn, because there are fish all over, there are enough fish, and you have so many options, because there are only 18, maybe 19 squares on the track. It's quite a small track. Most of the games, it took about 5 or 6 goes before somebody won, which I think is probably about the right number of throws for a Christmas card game. Yeah, because you don't quite get bored with it, but it's not immediate.
And I guess if people were playing this in a highly competitive, I want to win sort of manner, then basically what it comes down to is you've got to have the lead in fish still at the start of your turn, and
Yeah.
then you then have to roll this correct number because it will be 1/6 chance if there are 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6 spaces away to be able to get the penguins to reunite.
Yeah, so basically you want to get the most fish, but you also want to get your penguins relatively close to each other, which means that there's a chance that they can do that. Though, of course, there are waterfalls which sometimes go through the tracks, so therefore, you could go from one side of the track to the other side of the track by using one of the waterfalls. So, yeah.
And presumably, because it's a Christmas cards game, you didn't feel the need to oh well, the first person gets one more turn. Let's give other it's just hey,
No.
youngest person starts and
Exactly. Christmas card game, I think that, that a lot of those absolutely, crucial balancing rules that you've got in a, that you've got in a more complicated game, you don't need to have them. Not with this. Plus also, Christmas card game, you can equally have, best of 3. You could keep playing it. You could play a few more times. So, yeah.
And this is interesting because it is a slight departure from what you did last year. It's now adding other components, which makes it less pure as a Christmas card game. It's also moving away from the colouring in aspect, which was quite nice, but it will be really interesting to see how this one does. And regardless...
Yeah, you have to find fewer things. That was one of the things with the colouring in game. You had to find 6 different colours, which some people found really easy, but other people found much harder.
And it will be really interesting to chat to you once it's all done and once it's on the go about how it's doing. But if you want to check me out, I do have this banner. Jess, I'm sorry that it might be a struggle to get your banner up on screen, but if you want to check me out, I'm Stuff by Bez, and stuffbybez.com/streams is where it will tell you about my future streams and also which conventions I'm going to. Jess, if people would like to reach out to you, can you tell them all clearly where to find you?
Oh, right now, it's still probably best to come and find me on Twitter. So I am Dissent Games at Twitter. Who knows how long that's going to stay? I have done 2 posts on Mastodon. But you could also go to dissentgames.com, which is the website. And so come and check out what stuff I've got there.
Yes, Dissent Games, because these are the games that help you cause a tiny bit of dissent into your life.
Yay! Not so much the penguins, but many of the others. Yeah, direct action. Dissenting
Please
penguins!
share, spread the word. Thank you so much, everyone. Major thanks to Jess. It has been, as always, lovely to have you on. And for now, pretty much the only thing left for me to say is lots of love and, of course, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Do, do, do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Do, do. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, everyone.